Welcome to WrestleCulture. It's a long way, that, isn't it?
Isn't it? All right, seamless. It's like I was always here.
Watching every move, even though it's not the Fed.
Bum, 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 bum.
All out pay-per-view, giving me a sense of dread.
Bum, 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 bum.
Danielson wrestled the scapegoat on Saturday.
Bum, bum.
Watching in slow motion as he turns to Mox to say, everybody, take my breath away. I'm Adam Wilbourn from What Culture, joined by Mike Hamflett and Phil Chambers from What Culture to discuss all the goings on in wrestling this week, including murders.
Walking on the moon.
I text Nicholas last night, right, full disclosure. I said, I'm working on the WrestleCulture song. And I'm going for Berlin, take my breath away. Yeah. And all I can think of when I hit that chorus is, watching in slow motion as you turn to me and say, my love, walking on the moon, get it down. From Phoenix Nights. It's ruining that song for me. Anyway.
Made it better, if anything.
Before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube, where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we review Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2K. AEW Dynamite, AEW Collision, pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week complete with a very good quiz, of course, on WrestleCulture. As I said, they're joined by Hamflett and Phil live on YouTube. Thank you to everyone who's joined us. Send us your questions. We'll get around to them in due course. But Hamflett, your thoughts on the All Out and the fallout from that show?
You promised me on Thursday that was the last one of those you do. I wasn't aware that you'd be sneaking another one in.
One more.
It was a kind of amazing event, but I wouldn't say I was necessarily as individually high on all the amazing matches. We've just actually done the one of our favourite traditions on Friday, which is the Dave Meltzer 5-star, the star ratings game, but increasingly it's the 5-star ratings game. Which is fun for two reasons. One, because it's just a fun guessing game based on all our own opinions of the matches, and also how many matches rank above Samoa Joe and CM Punk, which I understand from the All Out card, if I've done my head kind of right, is all of them. And in some cases... Oh, yeah, maybe not that one. Yeah. And rightfully so. So, yeah, I wasn't, and I completely understand, by the way, why others were. There was a couple of matches that I didn't quite feel the buzz for and the energy for that I saw other people going insane for. The one that's leaping out to me is Will Ospreay and Pac, which I liked a great deal. But cards on the table as a total shoot, I stayed up late to watch that show, knowing at some point I might fall asleep, and it was in that match I fell asleep.
Oh, wow.
So that was the feeling of, have I seen this stuff before? My body and brain can't keep going. Watched it back the next day, loved it, but it didn't.
Might just be that you're getting old, Hamflett.
Could be that, yeah.
We're on our 30s.
We're on our 30s, fact. It was great. It was really great. Meltzer's gone above 5 on it. So, but I didn't think it was one of the best matches ever. But as a night, I was just so impressed with what AEW managed to cultivate, the sort of the air of darkness. Everybody said it and everybody felt it because it was the immediate takeaway. It couldn't have been any different from All In terms of just how gloomy and miserable it felt by design. That was supreme promotional competence to reach a point where you can deliver just joy and happiness and scale and pageantry with All In at Wembley, and then 2 weeks later feel like you're walking into a scene from Fight Club or something where things are just getting darker and grimmer and gloomier. And AEW deserves so much credit for that, because that's a promotional choice.
Yeah.
Everything from Forbidden Door, I would say, was working towards Wembley and All Out, as opposed to last year when it felt like we were watching the kickoff to a pay-per-view in a week's time.
Yeah.
They nailed the 1-2 punch of both. They showed you that they can have these characters exist in the darkness and the light.
Feels like a direction reset for TV as well.
Yeah.
It's not just that this happened on the show and it was a big dark show or whatever. It's followed on through to the TV and the storylines that are now going on. Yeah.
You can't, I said this on the Dynamite review, you can't do that show on 2 weeks' notice. It's folly to think that was a 2-week build.
Yes.
It wasn't. It was an 8-week build to 2 shows or whatever. Everything post Forbidden Door, basically, was the company headed towards both events. And I was so impressed by that. Swerving Hangman, I was feeling a bit guilty when it started, because I was like, I don't think I'm madly into this. And then they really got me, and I think really they had so much pressure on the shoulders, delivering upon not just a year-long FUED, but the fact that the house was set on fire on Wednesday on TV.
Yeah.
Like, that's an enormous platform to build for yourself, and they managed to pull that off, which I thought was really impressive. And Willow and Stat is probably one of my matches of the year.
Yeah.
Like, right up there, way up there, as this show-stealing, contemporary, violent classic that was actually probably the most fun of the violent things we saw on that show. It was the one that had the most, hey, wrestling! But everything clicked, everything hit to perfection. They did have Pac and Ospreay to follow. Wasn't the easiest spot on the card. NXT are insane to book a Chicago street fight for their own show in Chicago, because it's not going to touch that. There was lots on All Out that was the best of what AEW should be as well. I love the Fed, God damn it. But I think it's pointless having two of them.
Yeah.
Like, be your best self, AEW, as you have been for a lot of this year. And it doesn't matter if arseholes on the internet are going to post pictures of one stand of empty chairs, or you're not drawing now. Stay the course, hold the wheel, and one of these days you'll be your best version of yourself financially as well as critically.
I think they set themselves up quite difficult for All Out as well, because obviously, like topping All In's one thing because of like just the sheer magnitude of like the stadium and Wembley and things, and then moving to like back to an arena kind of thing, and it being so close. But in terms of expectations that you're setting for yourself, like across the board, there was a lot of expectations on a lot of those matches. Like I think Mercedes had a lot of expectations coming off the Britt match at All In, which I mean might not have helped. The cage match main event, they had not only the expectations of the house was set on fire, escalating the story to ludicrous levels, but the last match, the death match that they had, like how the hell do you top that? Like I don't think, personally for me, this match did top that, because I think just the pure visual of them licking up pools of each other's blood off their faces is much stronger than what they did in the cage match, although obviously they weren't grim with it towards the end. With the sort of Danielson match as well, he's like just coming off winning the belt, like needs something amazing, and like obviously he was building more towards the angle, but I think like
and that was the amazing,
needed something amazing for that as well. Like a lot of these matches have set huge, like Pac Ospreay just has expectations just by being Pac Ospreay.
It's not as easy a thing to build as it sounds by saying, right, this week on pay-per-view, the best match in wrestling ever. Yeah, like that's the ceiling. Like every now and then you can build that. And of course, that's the sort of thing that can be debated forever. But if you're even suggesting it with the build, my God, that's the ceiling you've got to reach. You know,
Backlash 2020.
Yeah, Edge and Randy Orton did not have the greatest wrestling match ever. But that's basically what they were selling with these two wrestlers. Yeah. You don't get that every day, do you? Like, they were willing to brave their own expectations. I agree.
However you feel about star ratings, right? It was objectively a very good show. So it's weird to say this, and don't take this the wrong way. It was not an enjoyable watch. Yeah. It just felt so, like, I remember Ewan recommending Uncut Gems to me. And I've watched about half an hour of it, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but I do not like the feeling of watching this. And I got that, like, I could appreciate phenomenal wrestling almost across the board on this show, but particularly with, obviously, the Swerve Hangman match, I was like, I don't really want to watch this.
I think that has
I can't take my eyes off it
as well, because that's the only way you can escalate from what they've already done to each other, and it's a mad one, because it's like just you can't keep topping yourself when you're doing these things, and at some point it's probably going to happen again at some point down the line, and it's like, where do you go? And it's like the visual of the chair and stuff was great. I thought, like, in terms of gimmicking steel chairs, that's the way to do it. Like, just have it absolutely be demolished. Is absolutely great, and they're like stabbing in the cheek. It's not entertainment. It is pure like grin and bear it, get through this.
It was we talked a little bit about it over the week. It was the cinder block where you're like, oh, I've seen a Swerve cinder block. Not it's his fault. What happened with the exploding one against Keith Lee?
And there's a stupid weapon in wrestling when it explodes.
It's
a stupid weapon.
Like he just dropped it, and I was like, that doesn't look like it's quite as breakable, let's say. I said this at the time. You know, you might be able to comment a bit more on this, Phil, as someone who's actually taken bumps before. But I was like, you know, the two worst parts for me were the syringe, because we've all been to the dentist and had them poking around in there, or like I had root canal recently and I had horrible flashbacks. That although the Gateshead dentists were fantastic, so no slight on them.
Shout out, guys.
Yeah, but I found one of the worst spots. like, I can sit there and watch someone get powerbombed on a cinder block and go, that's going to hurt. His spine's not meant to bend around that. But the bit where Hangman Page just got, like, scraped off it and they showed his back, I was like, I've done that to, like, my knees playing football or something. I know that stings when you get in the shower just doing that.
Yeah.
Those are sometimes the worst, aren't they?
Yeah.
That, like, pebble dash thing when you know it, it's like, oh, that goes right through you. But you know it's not just, like, falling over on some gravel. It's someone throwing you down.
Yeah. Your like, clothes will get caught on it or something. I
think this is it. Like, Phil used the word there. That, I think you said it as, it's not entertainment. But I think that was what I found, again, so impressive about this show. You know, like, if you're talking sort of, like, if in terms, you weren't here to just sit and have a great time with a big smile on your face because you've had that.
Yeah.
You were here to have a great time for a very different reason. Like, if you're taking, like, using sort of cinema as an example, like a Kubrick or a Scorsese or a SmackDown, like, what those great cinematic directors try and do is make you feel part of something through fear or through terror or through sickness or through whatever. If you something like The Shining, like, you're not watching that to feel comfortable, but you are watching to feel something.
Yeah.
And it's really hard for a wrestling promotion to make you feel the sort of pit of your stomach feelings, and especially when you're not going. I don't think any of their matches were sort of route one violence for violence's sake. Like, I don't want to entertain the rubbish, like, baity conversation on X about, like, the violence. I think it was all perfectly contextualized violence. Nothing was happening for its own sake. Nothing was one of those things where you see somebody taking a crazy risk on a tiny show that goes viral because it has 20 people. I know that sort of stuff. This is all pro wrestling violence, and I think that's like, especially now when you've seen everything.
Yeah.
I think it's really hard to summon atmosphere. You can pick spots because, like, you know, Willow smashing Stat with a light tube or, like, doing the splits on their drawing pins or whatever. Like, but everything sort of felt like it belonged.
Yeah.
And I think that's...
I'm not a big fan of light tubes, as you know, and I allowed for it in there.
I just think it's hard enough to make people feel shock, sickness, fear, whatever, with any wrestling violence because you've seen every version of it. It's quite another to do all of that and not really betray what wrestling is.
Yeah.
Like, I never liked, remember Moxley Kenny from the first Full Gear? The lights out match there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And something just didn't sit right with me. And, like, Sidge had, like, lots of really good takes on, like, why it was actually quite, like, storyline driven. And I was willing, I rewatched it. I thought, he's made some good points there. But it was just like, I've got this big sheet. It's a giant constructed bed of barbed wire. I was like, that's bollocks, mate.
Yeah.
Like, that is just like, just do that from the start.
Yeah.
Kill the guy with this incredible killing contraption from the very beginning. Or don't use it all. Like, you counted on 20 minutes of, like, a bloodbath before you think, you know what? I did spend thousands getting this very customizable thing made. I think it's time to unleash it. Hangman had a bag of tricks and he was going to see what worked. That's where the horrible stuff came out of, you know. And by the way, speaking of, like, sort of using, like, film or television as a comparative point, the cut of the camera cut right as he connects with the chair, I thought was amazing.
Okay.
That was so disarming. I found that so jarring that I can't believe I too am so gross that I am just going to Lenny this and I'm going to lean in and I'm going to raw dog this chair shot. I brace myself for it, and then the camera goes, "Oh, no, you're not." And I was like, well, now I think I need it. Why am I so violent? Like, and then you're going on Twitter and looking at people's fan videos of it just to get the full, like, it makes you sick as well.
Yeah.
And that takes some doing. Like, it's been really, really well thought through.
It's like the Darby Allen school of bumping, like, in the last few years. Like, his stuff stands out and it makes you feel for him because you know that looks like it really hurts. When Darby Allen takes a back bump on the, like, corners of all the steel steps on the outside, you're like, well, there's literally no faking that. That really, really hurts, and it makes it massively stand out from everything else. It was that with, like, the cinder block spot and the, like, the bump on that and stuff, like, you know that hurts, but then it's taking that, slowing it down and finding out, like, which bits of that make you feel the worst and using every single part of it through this match.
Speaking on the point that you made, though, Phil, what did you think? OG Stem Cell in the chat. Thank you to everyone who's joined us. Thank you for your donations. I will get to all your questions in due course. Says, happy Friday, everyone. With some saying All Out was too much, what, in your opinion, is too much in wrestling? The bag spot was uncomfortable, but fine to me. I didn't especially when you find out like Eddie Kingston's been trying to put a bag over someone's head for about a year, and they've gone, no, it needs to be the right scenario for this, and we're going to use it here. And Mox and Danielson are two of the most qualified professionals or like experienced people there, so that's not going to go awry, you would assume. What is too much, Phil?
I don't know. In this day and age, like
normally it's light tubes for me. Normally that's where I draw the line. But Statlander and Willow get a pass from me.
Yeah, like there's a time and a place for all of these things, so long as everyone is willing participants.
Yeah.
Yes,
is the biggest thing. If anyone is doing anything that they don't want to do, that is where it's too far. But otherwise, like not everything, like we say, not everything has to be entertainment. It doesn't have to be fun. It can like make you feel in a completely different way, and there's space within the wrestling landscape to do all of that and make you feel loads of different ways. Like a wrestling match can be like a Danhausen versus Orange Cassidy kind of thing. It can be that cage match that we saw on All Out. It can be so many different things, and it's just finding out where things fit within that context and making it make sense for that moment, like not doing anything over the top just for the point of doing something over the top. So I think there's like, and like, I mean, I grew up as a Mick Foley fan, like in the Cell days and the Royal Rumble, like the chair shots in that was definitely too far. But in that time and that context, they thought that was what they needed to tell that story. Obviously, we've learned a lot about CTE and things since then, and that was definitely too far. But it's all in the context of the moment that you're doing it.
I think, like, I always think if you just brush off anybody's concern to wrestlers as, it's the safety police, it's their own bodies. Like, I get that, because we've all just got to sleep at night somehow, whatever our hobbies and interests are. So I understand that, but I also think it's reasonable to have a conversation about what you deem safe or what you deem. But to OG Stem Cell's question, I think a lot of what we think is okay is so individual that you can't book for that. If you sat, and I'll take it away from wrestling to try and come up with an example. If you were to sit and watch the Jackass movie, right, of which so much,
oh my God,
all massive Jackass fans, and not just because we saw one of the matches of the year at WrestleMania 38 in Dallas together, right?
Oh my
but like,
God.
I'm thinking the Jackass 1, but any Jackass movie, right, or TV show, the things you can watch and piss yourself laughing, and like all three of us sat around here, and the things that just like, that one's not for me. That's all individual, right?
Yeah.
I can't cope with the paper cuts.
Yeah.
You know, when like,
yeah.
But I'm watching people fall on the tailbone. Like, think about all the things you see in Jackass.
In a mouth.
Yeah. And it just so happens that, like, that's one that gets me. Evidently, it does get all three of us. But you know what I mean? We could have all had completely different things that were on Jackass that you're like, that's the one for me where I just.
Some people, I have no issue with vomit. So, like, the one where Steve-O's been, like, got the helmet on and is sick, and no bother for me.
So,
like, I know some people are just like, I can't watch.
He jumps into the river of crap.
Yeah.
the chugging the milk one where they just have to keep chugging through all that sort. Anyway, so that is like, that's why you can't book to any sort of individual line of that's too far, because you make it arbitrary.
Vanders has just written Daniel Garcia bogeys.
You are completely making up rules based on what you think people will think, and if you're booking for that, then you're going to fail because you can never second guess what people are going to do. However, what I think is like kind of worth talking about in this, to Phil's point about how wrestling should be a place where it can all be fair game, what is always over the line for me, or what makes me feel a little bit is any time I sense either one or both wrestlers wish they weren't out there.
Yeah.
Like, not to sort of make this seem too subtle or nuanced or anything, but when something breaks down and when communication is lost, I don't want anybody getting CTE, and like everything that happened, not to get it too heavy on a Friday, everything that happened with Chris Benoit completely reframed how I watch wrestling forever.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what, route one, ban chair shots to the head. It's not going to solve everything because you're falling on your back and you're going to snap your head sometimes.
Yeah.
It's an insane way to make a living. Banning chair shots is not going to fix everything, but you are changing what people are influenced by, and it will at least help. I was like, if it's going to reduce, you can never remove, but if you can reduce, let's just do it.
Yeah.
So I was all.
There's also a long history of wrestlers will do anything if they are allowed to.
It's the unspoken thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Like they will go out there and do it.
Yeah, it's the unspoken thing.
If someone says no, it takes someone to say no.
Forgiveness rather than permission.
Jump off that? Well, I'll find out.
The whole thing, like, so what you have to do is you have to change the way people are influenced with the hope that you kind of rewire how people look at things. Yeah. So weapon shots to the head aren't great for me, but we'd be foolish to sit here and say, but other than that, wrestling is the safest game in town. I don't like it when I sense that two people aren't on the same page. Like, it's kind of...
Jack.
Yeah, it's kind of like...
Almost every New Jack match.
Yeah.
It's sort of alluring when things go a bit wrong, but when you're trusting your body...
Yeah.
Like, not... Stupid example because we're dumbass podcasters on the internet. If I trusted you with my deepest, darkest secret, and then the first thing you did the microphone, I'd be like, hey guys, well, guess what Hamflett just told me before we came on air, right? I'd be like, well, that's dead. Yeah. This can never work again. I don't want to see somebody like throwing hands particularly.
Yeah.
Because they're out there and it's like, well,
unless it's Nia Jackson, Charlotte, then it was noted.
What are they going to do next? They're going to break your leg. This is like,
yeah.
It's just, that's the one for me where it's like, it's a matter of consent, isn't it?
Yeah.
Still, like.
Hi to Larry Robb. Lovely to hear from you as always, Larry, in the chat, who says, good day, my friends. All Out was the most violent thing I've ever seen live. Thank you for making my days better. You're welcome, Larry.
I want to thank Larry and use it as an excuse for a plug, if I may.
Go on.
Because Larry was offered a very generous donation. I won't embarrass you by talking figures, Larry, but a very generous donation to a sponsor form that I'm doing this weekend. I'm doing a half marathon hike. Some up and down like fell, which I don't like to walk. I've got very weak legs despite my beautiful calves. Raising money for Macmillan, and he was very generous to donate. That's this weekend. It's at the top of my Twitter page. If you want to donate, you can do. I don't know when donations close, but I thank you very much in advance. And also thank you if you've donated, because I've seen a load of people have done that as well.
Yeah.
Speaking of plugs, just before we move on, it's a plug and it's an apology that I need to put out there.
2 for 1.
So it is a plug to whatculture.com/shop, where you can still get some of the merch available from our live shows.
I think I know what this is.
But I also need to apologize to Sean Turner, who snagged the last pair of Ups and Downs foam fingers, and they're getting sent out. And I sent him an email about it. He sent a lovely email back. And asked if we could sign the foam fingers. And I was like, 100% we can sign the foam fingers. Can't get Miller because he's not here, but I will get everyone else in the office to sign the foam fingers. And then what did I do? I completely forgot to get everyone
sat next to him as he was packing them away. Yes, I just thought that. No one asked me about it.
No, I haven't signed a foam finger.
Packed them all away, sent them off, and now they're gone. Oh. So I apologize, Sean, but I'm an idiot. But to anyone else out there, whatculture.com/shop, you can still get some of our merch from the live show in very limited quantities and sizes, but check it out. They're all on there.
Sean, if you are, but Sean's based in England or America?
He's America, unfortunately.
That's not unfortunate. Let me explain why. Sean, if you're based in America and you want to help build momentum for a live show yet to be booked in Las Vegas, we will sign absolutely anything there if you wish to attend. Start getting people hyped up for a thing that doesn't exist yet. And then
it will.
Bloody better. We're sending emails. So.
Shout out to Jed Brown as well, by the way, who's finally getting his Dudley Boys live show shirt sent out. Finally got it sorted, Jed. Apologies for making you wait 10 months or whatever it is.
We are despite how professional we look on the outside, we are but a small outfit.
Yes.
Yeah. We are a bunch of idiots in a building faking our way through life.
Look at you trusting your resources with dickheads on the internet. That's on you, if anything.
Exactly. Come on.
And,
what did you expect?
I suppose if you two get a plug, then I suppose I better do one just to feel weird otherwise if I didn't. So I'm on Cameo now, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. If you want a message from the one true journalist, the OTJ, it's going to cost you nowadays. Cameo.com/Adam Wilbourn. Very reasonable rates. I just copied what Hamflett and Murray and Miller did, basically.
Do you know what you should do? You've just made me realise how to best monetize your Cameo. Follow the Sean Ross Sapp method and make yourself like 5 for Select. People can just buy scoops.
There you go.
$25 and he'll give you a scoop. Stuff that isn't out there by anybody else.
Not be official.
Like, he's got this one. I don't want to blow your Cameo thing wide open here. He's got this one that goes all the way back to 2019 about John Moxley that you will not believe.
It's coming to fruition now. He's bringing in Shane O'Mac into AEW.
Yeah.
I was going to read a question there. Oh, I was going to say shout out to the brilliant Marcel Laviolette who's got in touch. Always lovely to hear from him. Who says, hello to Feeling Good, the OTJ, and Dr. Fed, the part-timer. I'm done with audio engineering school and working on something for you to use.
Nice.
But Marcel also poses as a question, who do you think can bring that Sid energy? He suggests Powerhouse.
Oh.
I had a name that immediately popped in my head. So I'll see if either of you say the same thing.
Sid's tricky, right? Because his magic was as much in what he couldn't do as what he could, because you simply did not care. Like, you didn't watch his matches forensically, because if you did, you'd be like, well, his punches look like they couldn't knead bread. But, like, who cares?
Yeah,
like,
look at him.
This is probably not an example. Maybe it's a 2024 comparison, and it's gone through the filter of everybody's gotten like a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because I really want him to steal the pyro, I'm going to go with Bron.
Ooh.
I think the Sid pyro should be repurposed for us, of somebody of similar intensity, as a nice tribute to Sid, because it was such goated pyro. and it needs to be a relatively short name as well. I thought Rhea would be great, but Braun, like in massive letters, as just a guy that just sweats and pisses aura as he walks the ring and then mostly steamrolls opponents.
Not Dom.
Also good. Also good.
Or Oba.
Yeah, that's
Oba was the name that immediately came to my mind.
No, that's the answer. That is the answer.
Yeah.
Just doesn't say much. Everyone goes, who? And he does. And then he just F-35s people, basically.
Hoy and Hammerstone around this way. Just that toss powerbomb thing he did.
Oh my God.
He's a giant that you've just thrown.
What about Simon Miller if he joins the Outrunners?
Oh, what a pop they got this week.
He was shooting his shot on AEW Dynamite Ups and Downs Miller. He's calling them out. He wants to team with them.
Well, he is one of the youngest men alive.
Exactly.
Miller. We're all in our 30s. Fact.
Vander's a good shout as well. Suggests Big Bill when he finally gets away from Jericho, which actually, I was going to save this for later, but I'm going to get to it now. Phil Chambers, haven't had a chance on podcast to get your thoughts on one of the big things people are talking about post-Dynamite, and that's the Chris Jericho Bentley Pennies angle. Thoughts?
See, I love the long history of destroying things in wrestling. The like concrete in the Corvette. The like.
Don't say too much. We've got Matt of a quiz related to this.
The other times cars have been destroyed.
Oh, there you go.
And this ranks right up there with the absolute worst of them. In that nothing got destroyed, and it
was a
just
car crash, but without a car crash.
Mild inconvenience.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, I have to pick up some money and
Get out of the gaps.
keep going on with my life.
There should be more minor inconvenience stories in wrestling.
Yeah,
it's always
I'm
got.
down
But
for a
what
minor
about sort of like
inconvenience
you know when
storyline.
it's always like so? Say this week there was an example on NXT, but it happens all the time where like a wrestler doesn't make the show, and then it turns out their rival has ran them off the road. Like as somebody that deals with this quite a lot, it's a pain in the arse when your train gets cancelled.
Yeah.
Well, it's just about sort of like what happened. Oh, I rang the train company up and cancelled your train. You bastard! Like that
I changed
relatable daily
one
annoyance.
digit on your passport thing, and they said that doesn't match to this. So unfortunately, you're not getting on this plane.
Yeah, when you're in the ring, I logged you out of your Twitter account and changed your password. See you later.
I've got it. The best thing you could possibly do, long-term storytelling of like every time someone's backstage, they just end up like stubbing their toe, like constantly, like once a week, every single time they're stubbing their toe. Turns out someone's just been like nudging a table like an inch closer to them, and they just keep nudging the toe.
That's like psychological warfare, that isn't it?
I
You know,
know,
it's like
right?
making someone's like desk a tiny bit smaller or something.
Yeah.
Like,
You
Dwight-
think it's
Dwight
yourself,
Jim
and it's like,
thing.
God damn, how am I doing this every single week? And it turns out someone's just
Got in their head, Phil. You've got in their head. This is, I can tell you where you used to be a wrestler. That's better psychology.
It was. What? Talk me through your thoughts as because I think you and I went through the same thing of like, oh, this will be cool when it does the Corvette.
Yeah.
When the pennies smashed through it. And I don't know whether would it have checked Matt if they'd have dropped it from a higher height.
I think it was one of those things that's just better in theory. Like if you say, what if we get $7,000 in like?
But that wasn't 7, was it?
Yeah,
That's
it
not
can't have
what.
been.
What would it have been? So 700,000 pennies would that be?
Yeah.
Well, even so, no one's counting.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Right there. I just think.
I wanted the bucket full.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like as a starting point, like the bucket should be full. I don't. It's just weird that it happened. Like the thing is about saying like, oh, AEW is the number 2 North American promotion, so it should be like there's a standard that you expect from being a mainstream TV show every single week. But then that sometimes seems unfair because I watched 20 years of WWE that was held to no standard whatsoever.
Yeah.
So like, and they were the market leader in a monopoly. So, however, that was backstage, required props, multiple cameras and lighting. So presumably you're not going live because if you are, that's dumb because you've got to get it in one take. So like, there's no way they're shooting it live. Surely not,
No.
right? Because in any respect, what if all of a sudden the digger doesn't start or whatever?
Yeah.
Then you're knackered. So it's got to be taped. Watch the tape. Did somebody go, right, we've done it? And then Tony Khan's gone, great, I'm sure this will turn out fine. I'll watch it at Showtime when somebody hits play.
Yeah.
Just watch it and be like, no, that's not fit to air. We need more coins. Or look at, like, we could sit here and pick out 6 things that were wrong with it, as could they, right? So look at the 6 things that were no good about that and shoot it again.
Yeah.
That's what I can't understand. Like, this.
Or like I said, just have a fail-safe of, right, we're going to drop this. We're hoping that the pressure of that or just the drop in the coins will just crack the windscreen. Because that's all you really needed.
Yeah, just a little bit of something.
But if it doesn't, just lower that bucket onto the windscreen. That'll shatter.
Well, like, even just if it doesn't destroy the coins left no visible mark until Chris Jericho in a post-show segment started rubbing them on it to create scratches. Even if there are no visible marks of damage to the car. If there's enough coins to fill it, that's annoying.
Yeah.
That's like it
would have been so much funnier.
That's funny,
if
isn't it?
they'd just driven the digger or driven something down to the ring that's full of coins, tip it into the ring and say, there you go, there's your money.
Yeah.
And then seeing Jericho getting really annoyed, having to like try and sweep up all of these like
swimming it
thousands
like
of coins.
Vince in a beer or like
Yeah,
it just
would have been loads funnier as a visual. But
there was a lot of ways to do that. And they didn't find a right one. The sound was the saddest thing as well. The sound because it had no length to it.
No.
Did it? It had no muscle.
nothing. Just like,
I when you think of the Corvette, right? The example Phil's gone straight to, because I think we all did. Like, it's the initial. Oh, there's cement trickling down this thing.
It's quite a small trick. I watched it yesterday.
How's this going to go?
it lands in the seat, and you're like, oh, all right.
Yeah, how's this going?
And then the build-up.
And it fills and fills and fills and fills. So you suddenly you don't know what you're anticipating, but it's like, this is amazing. It's just filling it. And then the pop is like,
it fits put so well because it gets to the top of the windows, basically, doesn't it? And then
the pop of the glass is when you're in wrestling, you can do no wrong.
Yeah.
And this anti-splash of coins is when you can do no right. That's when the universe is either on your side or not.
Some people call me Morris writes, maybe the windscreen wasn't real glaze.
Honestly, if it was the Punkers Sugar glass, that'd have gone like that.
Yeah.
Would have taken a feather to smash that.
Hi to Steve Nikolakopoulos, the former editor
hell is
of
happening?
Powell.
Yeah.
Every single week.
I've apparently been saying his surname wrong for about the last 5 years, so sorry, Steve.
Yeah, he corrected us when you were off. And
But then we couldn't find the correction, so now he has no idea what he's doing.
No,
his whole world has been blown.
Gone. It says, "G'day, handsome gents. With the Undertaker showing respect to the business and Kane by saying he'd build a respectful business around him, who would you choose and why would it be Turbo Floyd? Youngest man alive? Well, one half.
to build?
They've got to strap up the outrunners, haven't they? Sorry.
To build a respectful business.
You got to strap up the outrunners.
Yeah.
They. I don't know.
Willow for me.
It's wrestlers are not your mates, so
Well, one is.
one's your best mate. Yeah, this is how they become the OTJ. This is where I'm going wrong. But you'd have to look, I think, at not just a Willow that's somebody that's just going to be a fan favorite, but you would have to look at somebody that not only has got the body of work, but can be completely relied on, not just as a wrestler, but also just to keep that locker room the way it needs to be. You want to be thinking to the future rather than sort of having any niggly, nasty, politicky wrestling stuff. So I'm going to have to go with CM Punk.
Obviously.
Also, realised I've got confused this question because I heard build a respectful business around them and just thought, just a shop. And I was like, who's going to be the face of it? Willow.
Oh, okay.
But no, I think you're right the way that
I like
you
that.
come at it.
I like that. I want to think of wrestlers that could run an estate agents or something like that, but do it honourably.
Willow's Coffee. There we go.
You know what? Willow Night G's the answer to every single one of these questions because in your head, all wrestlers will just.
But who are you building your business around?
I'm going to build one of those shops that you always see in little villages for some reason, and you have no idea who shops there, but they always exist, and they just sell things like dream catchers and crystals and things. And I'm going to get Mercedes Money to run it because she's pretty knowledgeable on that side of the business.
Well, I'm going to go with what I know. And I'm going to build a wrestling podcast empire.
And she's already a CEO, sorry.
She's a CEO. I'm going to pick The Undertaker.
Fair.
Because I am disgusted with how much he respects our business right now because he's keeping us off the top of the charts. Thanks, Dave, man.
We're still technically the number one UK wrestling podcast in the UK.
The number one UK wrestling podcast in the UK because the Dave man is doing a business in America.
It's fine. These people, they come, they go. He'll have his run. He'll be gone soon enough.
I'd like to think so. Some people put stickers on their podcast cover image, or they say that they're the number one wrestling podcast in the UK, and they just say it. You can't just say. You have to be it. You can't just say it.
So, moving on. Stephen Ellison says it's Baron Corbin's birthday today. Happy birthday to Baron Corbin.
Happy birthday, Baron! I want to buy you a birthday pint.
And I
owe you one.
And it's Stephen's on Sunday. Happy birthday in advance, Stephen, which is also Teddy Long's.
Everyone's birthday.
If you could pick one wrestler,
like a tag team match player.
If you could pick one wrestler to go on a birthday night out with, who are you picking? I'd pick Sheamus for a good old pint.
Again, I'm going to have to go with CM Punk now. A birthday night out? Do you want it, with it being wrestlers, do you want it to go a bit wrong and be like, I survived that?
Yeah.
Or do you get to choose beforehand?
I suppose you can. It's not like a stag do. You have somewhat of a say.
Is it your birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it depends what you want out of your birthday. If you just want to go and get loads of gossip about wrestlers, maybe CM Punk is a good one.
Can I be in the club where the Click Rock up in '95? Triple H driving the car, boop, boop, just waiting outside like a taxi driver with everybody's bags. But like, I'm at the club, but it's not my night. I just get to like,
You just get to watch.
yeah, I'm just gonna stand at the bar, lads, and I'll just watch whatever the hell goes on.
I'm gonna respect the birthday and go out with the Bone Street crew.
Oh, nice.
That's what would happen. I'd be at the club, and then like you'd show up with the BSK, and they'd get in a fight, and we just sort of stand at the bar and watch.
I want to know what a night out with the Outrunners would be like.
Yeah,
I honestly think the reaction they got this week justifies a one-off title shot. Like, I bought 100% in that match.
A title one, they'd fix the tag team division in a second.
so youthful and vascular.
If you're anything like me, and I know I am. Found that yesterday, rewatched it. Because Josh was like, who's this?
Yeah.
I was like, Josh Brown, sit down and get ready for an education. Hi to Rob, or ROB, who says, good day, gents. It's funny Nicholas called me the notorious ROB last week because I actually do R&B.
Nice.
Anyway, what's the deal with music?
Music.
Yes.
Any good music gags?
Oh, I mean, I'm no good at jokes. But then again, so I saw someone asking about Stacks potentially getting a cameo, and who knows, maybe if you buy one from me, maybe I can persuade him to hop on. So.
Nice little 50-50 joint profit share situation.
Yeah, everyone's got their hand in there. Cameo's taking 25%. What's going on?
I'd absolutely pissed myself. That went horribly wrong for you, and you got a DM off a certain pro wrestler. Wait a second. What? Thought we were friends. No, you met me. I don't know who you're talking about. It would be the biggest test yet of these disgusting rumours that go around.
That's outrageous. I thought it was put to bed over WrestleMania week.
Yeah, there's ample once a week. You miss him. Like people think, right? Do people really think you'd want to miss him every single Wednesday?
I'm there with him on Tuesday as well. I just keep quiet because there's only 3 mics.
That's it.
So, what's the deal with music? What's your next gig you going to? You got any lined up?
I might. Such is the look that I get sometimes. I might be going to see Moby perform all of Play this coming Wednesday. Is
he not cancelled these days?
Probably. In Manchester
for
free, because somebody might end up getting me a ticket last minute. I haven't asked for this. It's like one of them sort of it's sometimes helpful to be the person in somebody's phone who will probably say yes to a gig, because it looks like their night might be falling apart and they might have to like drive there and back, whereas it would have been like a night out or whatever. And then they were just like, look, I'm probably not going to end up going at this rate because I don't really fancy it on my own, but just for company in the car, I'm in. So that might be my next gig. But the one I've got tickets for is something I've forgotten now. There's a guy called Tom Veck, if anyone in the chat knows him, who I loved from like he was a bit of an indie landfill guy, but he was kind of better than that. He was a bit more of a producery guy. And I saw him quite a bit back then, and then he just disappeared off the face of the planet, and then out of nowhere he's touring again. So I'm seeing him at the Clooney in October. I'm very excited for that.
Lovely. I'm going to see Melt Banana tonight.
Whereabouts?
It's Clooney.
Oh, nice one.
So shout out to Melt Banana.
You've got a really nice Melt Banana t-shirt.
I have 2 Melt Banana t-shirts.
Well, I've only seen one of them. Next year, if it works out, I've made a really stupid promise to Phil over the DMs. Because she announced a world tour that is going to bring in UK dates. Friggin' Kylie's going back out on the road.
Hey!
She's not just doing special shows, and it includes a US tour. She's going to run the US and then the UK. And I was like, look, if this falls in a state while we happen to be over there for WrestleMania, I'm taking you to Kylie.
Wow.
So that's always on the cards. Kylie is never off the list. Or, for that matter, the laminated list.
Matt Rains joins us.
Love him.
And says, happy Friday, fellas. Always an honour. An honour for the wrestlers from Ingerland to see my best friend. Hope you all have a great weekend. Legends Lounge coming soon. Stay tuned. Hint on the ABV, Sean Spears. So, cheers, gents. Any ideas as to you could crack that code?
No.
As hard as Jericho's back in the day.
Just get my Legends Lounge picture now.
Oh, that's nice. That's a live podcast.
There we go. Live project picture.
That doesn't seem like that's too low for a Matt Rains Friday pint, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe it's just multiples of 10.
Yeah.
30.
It's 10%, but he's got 10 cans.
Hi to Just Daryl, who says, Happy Friday, legends. Nice of the part-timer to show up to work.
What is this? What is this?
Just wacky summer, isn't it?
Show up for work, Mark.
I'll drop a pipe bam right now.
Show up
There
for
we go.
work, Hamflett.
I've kept really quiet about this, right?
Please don't swear, though.
No, I won't say. I've given you enough work of late. I want people to understand that when I'm missing a podcast, I am missing a podcast.
That's a good point, actually.
Like, if I can't be in this studio, believe me, I am somewhere where I am not as happy as I am when I'm in this studio. Like,
Look, if you don't like it, keep it in your pants. That's all I'm saying. Have you ever heard of condoms?
it does. Not before the doctors just cut it clean off, though, yeah?
that was great in that Kirby picture. Also, there's some Johnnies in the background there.
You do one thing 2 times, right? No. Yeah.
You've only got yourself to blame.
I do.
You're getting absolutely.
It's true. We have.
Sorry, it's from me.
There's 2 points actually here. Number one, right?
System's broken.
My fellow socialists, allegedly, we do not holiday shame. Like, you should have your work-life balance in check. I do not have my work-life balance in check because I like my work too much. Number 2, the system does not work.
Yeah.
Right. And because we have, I think it's safe to say, like a nice holiday allowance here. Our overlords
Very
in the
lucky,
future
yeah.
do as well via holidays. There are 12 weeks, not including teacher training days. How much fucking training do you need, lads? Not including teacher training days, not including like additional school trip coverage, blah, blah, blah. 12 weeks of the calendar year where children are not in school. How? Like, I am once again asking, how? Like, and I'm very lucky. There is me and my wife. There are 2 separate batches of annual leave in which we have to get down in the goddamn trenches and do the hard yards with our own children that we chose to have in the life that we selected. So I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying, look, I don't want to miss SmackDown any more than Sige wants to cover it.
Yes.
Let's put it like that. Say my piece on this. It's very nice to be on WrestleCulture.
Carl Stevens just writes, I'm a fan of this sort of thing. Thanks, Carl. Thank you. Sorry, where was I? So, yes, Just Daryl. Happy Friday, legends. Nice of the part-time show up to work. When AEW does go on streaming, what show or pay-per-view are you going to rewatch first? Ooh. Great question, Daryl.
Saturday Night Dynamite from August 2020.
The
one that
Brody
ends with Cody and Brody.
Yeah.
I fancy the whole episode again. There's a lot of that. That would probably be a run, actually. I'm a bit of a sucker for a binge when I get into something wrestling related, and I intend to watch one show, and then I find myself sticking with it for like 6 more months.
Yeah.
Superstars on the network or something. I'll stick that on. I really, really fancy another bite of the AEW pandemic. Now we're far enough away from it, because I know plenty of it will hold up, but I want to see just how much, because I'm so emotionally tied to that product.
I think I'd go right back to the beginning. I've not watched any Dynamite episodes twice, like ever, I don't think. So like I've never watched the first episode of Dynamite. Like 5 years on, it'll be quite an interesting thing. Or maybe even like the 3rd or 4th, just to see, because like you get the first, but you only get your first once. It's when you get into it a little bit.
I didn't love it.
What were they actually doing?
I didn't love it in 2019. Episodes? Yeah, I wasn't.
I'd be interested to go back.
Like, it was the Elite were trying to say like, oh, no, we're not going to immediately take the front, and then obviously the December episode subsequently leading to the changes that turned it all around.
It's a very different place in those early days than it is now.
Yeah. I'm tempted to say Revolution 2020, but I'm going to say Double or Nothing 2019.
Yeah, that was going to be my other one.
Honestly, I don't think I've ever actually sat down and watched that entire thing all the way through, because we were obviously lucky enough to be there. So
it's quite an experience. I'll tell you what I did watch, I think it was about 6 months ago. I watched All In 2018 again. You were there for that, weren't you?
I was there.
Oh, yeah.
That is a weird one. Ignoring, there's
show.
quite a few like cancelled wrestlers and stuff, and it's like that's, your mileage may vary on those matches in general, but they just feel like some of the magic has been lost by what we kind of know maybe about the reality. But that's wrestling. Yeah. You're never not going to encounter that in older shows. But it is strange. Like, you really, really have to reset your brain to 2018. You can like it. I think Cody and the SmackDown GM, I can't remember his name's match. I love it more. I loved it then, and I love it even more now, because that is a standalone bit of brilliance.
Yeah.
They've made that belt feel like the most important prize you could ever wish to fight for, and that in itself is incredible, let alone how good the match is. But you really have to sit with yourself and be like, my God, what was wrestling when this occurred? Just look at the summer of 2018 in WWE. Just look upon the landscape of, say, how New Japan was having like the most critical game. Like, it was fresh off Omega Okada 4. Critical consensus, the best wrestling match ever, right? Versus WWE a complete living weekly nightmare. Like, it was such a unique time for that to happen and all of those factors to converge that made it so. You really have to reset your factory settings. Otherwise, as a show, I think you might watch it and wonder what the fuss is all about.
Yeah.
But, like, I get goosebumps thinking about the night because there was magic in the air.
I've not watched... I've seen clips, obviously, but I've never watched any like full matches or definitely not the full show back because I never wanted to mess with the memory of actually being there because I wanted that to be my overwhelming like memory of All In because it was like just entering that building, it felt special, it felt different. It was a weird feel. Like when they talk about like the atmosphere, like electricity in the air, it's like that's one of the times where you're like, holy cow, there's something in this room. You can feel it.
What was the wrestler consensus at StarCast? Like, how many were too old and jaded to think it could be something, and how many were actually so wide-eyed and excited?
It was one of the most excited atmospheres I think I've ever encompassed in any of these kind of convention spaces, because obviously, like, you get a lot of old jaded wrestlers at the conventions, but I think just the fact that StarCast was new at the time as well was slightly different, and that was a bit exciting. I think just the promise of something else happening. Like, obviously didn't know it was going to be AEW or anything at that time. But like everyone there was talking about the future of wrestling at that point, and it was a huge catalyst for talking about what is next in wrestling.
Yeah, All In 2 was a thing for a bit, wasn't it? In our heads, it was going to be like they're just going to do a series.
Yeah, just keep doing it.
Because Ring of Honor and New Japan was still so roster-wise, was still so part of it that
Final few questions, then we'll get to the hashtag Bloody Good quiz. Hi to Hedgehog Action, who's joined us. He's very excited to catch us live. Says, not another one.
Oh, my God.
And hi to Tactical Penguin, who regularly joins us. Says, afternoon, lads. Day one of asking for a Buddy versus Brian rematch from SmackDown. Yes.
Yeah.
I think they could have a sleeper match of the year candidate as a Buddy Matthews mega fan. Didn't fall off the roof, just missed last week. So good. We were slightly worried about you, Tactical Penguin. Karthik gives us our final question, though. Just want to pose to you. Karthik says Hangman Swerve stuff was shaky in the lead up to Revolution and their all-out match was a 4.25. Does a decent decider seal feud of 2024 for Punk Drew?
I don't know. In the interest of showing some balance here, I don't think that Drew and Punk has stayed perfect, and I think that's a shame. I loved the SummerSlam match, even though it wasn't for everybody. But I actually think, I thought the strap match was fabulous. There was a sense that they've just about gotten away with it, having slightly missed the peak when Punk won the strap match. Loved it. Understand why they're going back to it, but would have happily left this Hell in a Cell match alone. Would have happily had the strap match as the final chapter. So I don't know. I don't want to give a cop-out answer.
The dip with Punk Drew was that 1 week where the promo just fell off. And was it like the one before the strap match or whatever?
Yes.
And it's like, and that felt like, oh, maybe they've missed the boat on this. I think the strap match pulled it back.
The
attack on Punk definitely helped. And I assume the Hell in a Cell match is going to be great. But that like felt like a bit of a dip.
Here's a one for you. Like, to answer a question with a question and thus avoid answering it myself. Right? It is interesting, is it not, that in both of these feuds, you've got Punk over here and Hangman Page over here, and they're extremely reflective of like a pre-existing culture war between the two promotions. If you lifted out, I mean, you couldn't lift out CM Punk from Punk Drew McIntyre because that's why it's so good, because he's a genius. But if you lifted CM Punk out and you put somebody else in, so that he was just like well regarded by Miz. Miz and Drew were somehow making absolute magic, right? And then you lifted Hangman out of the Swerve one and it was Samoa Joe, for example. And everything else is the same, but they've just both lightning in a bottle. Like, do you think that just becomes, well, this one's more AEW flavoured and this one's more WWE flavoured, and everybody that prefers the flavour of AEW ice cream is going to go that one, and everybody that prefers the WWE flavour ice cream is going to that one? I think it probably is that. But I think Punk and Hangman are these sort of totemic figures for the two sides.
Yes, that's a good point.
And I think you would probably not be able to put two people in a room who think one and think the other, and then have them change their minds. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's far more Punk than it is Hangman as well.
Yes.
Whatever Punk does in WWE now, because of what happened in AEW, and because of what happened in AEW in WWE the first time round.
It's Punk.
It's Punk.
Yeah.
And so he's always going to be compared to whatever is going on the other side. Because when he went to AEW, like, that was a huge thing. He was comparing AEW to what went on the same side. He's encouraged it through his run in AEW. And then because of how spectacularly that fell apart, it's obviously going to happen when he does it in WWE as well. So I don't think he's ever going to get away with these, get away from these comparisons.
It's those two going head to head.
Let's just say we can all agree it's neither of them. It's Cody versus The Rock. There we go. As it's going to be next year. So that was easy. 2 years in a row. Sorted next year's already.
Do you know The Rock's comeback? It's funny to think about like how there's been so much praise for the Hangman Swerve stuff.
How many documentaries has Hangman Swerve or Punk Drew got so far? Just
that's how we're ranking things, isn't it?
Yeah, that's how I score things.
Yes, it is end of year. Like recency bias always happens in end of year stuff, and Drew and Punk and Hangman and Swerve are happening right now and whatever, and they're great. It is going to be interesting to see how many people want to force through January, March, The Rock brackets general, for example.
Yeah, you stand back when those chatty faces start coming back around, baby.
Yeah. Because I think the fights will be real. I think nobody's doing this in bad faith. I think there will honestly be people that are just like, what the hell are you doing? How dare you forget about look at you now, or anything else for that matter.
Look at you now.
I'm saving you some bleeps here. Like every Friday for a month, like for 20 minutes on his Instagram. It's the peak of wrestling as it's happening, but then such is the content churn now. There's like 4 more peaks later in the year.
Yeah.
Right, thank you for all of your questions, but enough of all this. It's now time for a bloody good quiz. And this week's quiz is brought to you by Mr. John Spencer. If you want your name associated with the hashtag Bloody Good Quiz, leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can leave us a 5-star rating on there. Screenshot it.
We need the proof.
And email it to me, adam.wilbourn@whatculture.com. Mr. John Spencer leaves a 1-star review saying, overhyping American wrestling, watch Stardom or Margold. So thanks for that, John. Actually, bollocks to you. We're going to dedicate this week's quiz to the brilliant Stephen Ellison, who celebrates his birthday this weekend. There you go,
Happy
Stephen.
birthday, Steve. Don't make a bit out of leaving the 1-star
Leave
review.
a 5-star rating and write whatever trash you want. I don't care.
You knacker the algorithm, and that's how these liars with stickers can claim to be the #1 podcast.
Anyway, this week's quiz is all about, big surprise, cars in wrestling.
Hey. Tell you what, I can't wait for the Orange Cassidy, Chris Jericho, Bentley Penny playset.
Usual rules apply. 10 questions, multiple choice, shout my name. Wait for me to come to you. It's just for fun though, guys.
Just for fun.
Question number 1, starting with the Jericho Orange Cassidy debacle.
What colour was his car?
Ooh, maybe a question for later. Twitter user Finley reacted to the dreadful Jericho car angle, writing, "Wow, coins. That will cause nothing more than a scratched window. I miss the days of concrete and what? I miss the days of concrete and explosions. I miss the days of concrete and monster trucks. I miss the days of concrete and wrecking balls. Or I miss the days of concrete and boobs."
That's the only reason I sat my surname. I'm going to say Hamflett. I'll go with, what was the second one, please?
Monster trucks.
Monster trucks.
No, dear, that's wrong.
I'm going to go with Wrecking Balls.
Yay!
Miley Cyrus.
I'll tune that. Right, question number 2.
My kids love that song. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm really into that.
Dad, put the music. No.
It's a good song. Good song. It's just like, have you seen it on a film or something? It must have been in a film that I can't remember.
It's probably on they do I don't know, the poo emoji in the Emoji Movie sings it or something.
Yeah. That's
Well,
almost
I've just been watching the YouTube video on repeat somehow.
I think they're a bit. I think Miley Cyrus' Wrecking Ball is a bit like us. It can't quite make it onto YouTube Kids, and we're all grateful.
Question number 2. Probably going to struggle with this one. But what did Stone Cold pour into Mr. McMahon's Corvette?
Bill! Concrete.
Just to clarify,
Concrete.
you're saying cement, correct?
Cement.
Not semen, as the other option is going to be. You're saying cement.
Cement. Please.
Yay!
Does sound like semen when you listen back to it.
Phil, let me do my cum joke.
What were the other options?
Just beer or... I've gone to write manure, but I've just realised I've written mamour. So
Memoir.
So hang on, wait a minute. So there was the answer, and there was beer, poo, and cum.
yeah. That's how this quiz works,
Have you
baby.
ever, have you ever seen one of his quizzes
Matt
before?
Raines has suggested Matt and do co-raid. You'd never waste that.
No, not a drop of that is good.
Again, shout out to Zach Patel, who's
Thank you,
fired
Zach.
this office up throughout this week with his lovely
That's how you
gift.
start a feud with you in a wrestling promotion. You just open the can right in front of your face and just pour it out.
You don't even pour it onto anything.
Yeah, just pour it out right in front of your face.
Open one on one of my days off. Open it and just leave it on my desk. That when it arrives there, it's flat and warm. Warm pop. Sorry. Like, things you can cope with, like foods and drinks and stuff, like, Phil, you're, like, open to most things and that. Like warm pop's one of the very worst, this is not how this should be served things, isn't it? Like, I think I'd eat a lot of cold food before I have warm.
100%. Yeah. I'd far rather have cold food than warm pop.
Vaguely
I mean, like
away.
food that's not supposed to be cold, obviously.
Yeah, I could vaguely get away with, like, something flat.
Yes.
Warm flat is better than warm fizzy.
Warm flat is way better than warm fizzy, yeah.
It's just one of the worst, isn't it? I would say beer in the same vein.
Yeah.
If you're a beer guy rather than a fizzy juice guy, but warm, it's almost undrinkable, and yet there's inherently nothing wrong with it. The flavour's right, but...
Question 3. When Daniel Bryan turned Randy Orton's Escalade into a Yescalade, what colour did he use? Ooh. Yellow, orange, green or pink? He wrote yes all over his car.
He did.
Bad record with cards, if you just realised, Randy Orton. Apart from when he RKO'd Hulk Hogan across one, which was funny.
Really funny.
I can't get a visual for
it. Hamflett. Is it green?
No, dear, that's wrong.
Well, that's good that I didn't say it. Yeah. Yellow, orange, or pink?
Correct.
Let's go. I don't know. Yellow.
No, dear, that's wrong.
This is why I wrote. I was like, because I was going to do the Kofi one, and I decided against doing that because I think it's very memorable. That I could not picture this until it's orange. In fact,
it's the worst period of my life as a wrestling fan. As a shoot, it's the one time I nearly stopped watching WWE.
Wow.
It was 2013, like weekly destroying of Daniel Bryan.
Then Big Show came along and saved it.
That must be it. Yeah, I couldn't cope with it. I couldn't cope with it. I was like, stop it. Like, it's been weeks, and he's not getting anywhere.
Daryl, you nailed it in the chat. Well done to you. Question 4, still 2-0 to Phil. Why did Braun Strowman once destroy a car gifted to him by the Saturday Night Live lads? Was it to sell a kid's toy? Is it because he can't drive stick? Is it because he prefers trains? Or because he wanted a Ford Bronco?
Phil, sell a toy.
Yay!
That's right. The good questions have started.
At least we let you get through the answers.
Yeah. That's all this is nowadays. Question 5. Just you wait till question 10. Question 5.
Famous comedic rule of 4.
What car was Jack Perry put through the windshield of at All In 2023 Crimea River? Was it a hearse, a limo, a Ford Escort, or Sue's minivan?
A limo.
Yay!
1-0 up here.
I'm going for it.
I'm a sucker for your punchlines. That's what it is. Time for the fun to end.
Question 6. What space was Sid parked in when Goldberg destroyed his car? Was it 2, 22, 101, or 69?
Hamflett. 101.
No, dear, that's wrong.
22.
22?
Yay!
Unassailable lead now, Phil.
Yeah.
69.
The 22. I've watched that back. I was like, I know the answer to this, but I'm just going to double check.
22, of course.
Hey, I got your car. Hey, you got my car? Yeah, sure. I'm back to the space 22. 22! Oh, I loved him. Question 7.
Why me?
Why Goldberg? That noise as well. The little flame.
That was better, wasn't it?
Yeah. Question 7. At POR Wrestling, what move was hit off a caravan moments before a car flew through it? Apparently, this is wrestling promotion.
I've seen that clip, yeah. You seen that film?
Yeah, I think so.
What move are they hitting? Are they hitting a drive-by, an AA, one-winged angel, or the mandible car?
Phil, one-winged angel.
Yay!
I spent so long looking for like finishes, and I'm like, mandible car. Question 8. Who did Alberto Del Rio once run over in his car? Easter Bunny, Santa.
Phil, Santa.
Yay!
I'm going to take over this quiz for a second. Adam Wilbourn, this week with a bit of extra time, you have promised to catch up on a number of things you wanted to do.
Ooh.
But which did you fail to yet again? Was it A, certain films you wanted to watch? Was it B, certain household chores you wanted to do? Was it C, completing Spider-Man on the PlayStation?
Done it!
Or was it D, listening to The Car?
I've got my train down to Birmingham. That's my my playlist.
All right. I'll test you on Monday.
Right. What's the fourth song?
Yeah.
I've got some work to do.
That one.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah. We're the Arctic Monkeys and we're driving a car. Hello, Adam. That's why I've been wanting to listen to it. It's going to blow his mind.
Question 9. I have no idea what the score is. Phil's winning. What does Hulk Hogan say before crashing into The Rock's ambulance? Was it, say your prayers, take your vitamins, and buckle up? Was it, I'm going to lay the smackdown on his crippled ass, NWO style?
That one.
Was it, I'll see you in the ICU?
Or, good, I like it.
Or option 4, was it, no way he makes it to WrestleMania now?
Son of a bitch.
Second one.
Yay!
No, where?
Nino. Like
right.
Nino because he's an ambulance. Oh, I've just remembered my Randy Orton question. Now, question 10. Remember the Kofi, you got a car with your face on, Paul Payton on it. Da-da-da-da. Well, which NASCAR driver's car did he get as a gift? Was it Kyle Busch, Billy Muff? Sorry, let me start again. The options are the NASCAR driver.
You're a baby, mate. You've got a baby.
If you just don't pop. Just don't pop.
Oh, right. Oh, that's on us, is it?
It is in this one.
Okay. Which NASCAR driver's car did Randy Orton get as a gift?
No pops.
Kyle Busch, Billy Muff, Steve Beaver, or Chad Minge?
Bill, the first one.
Yay!
Chad Minge, I was
Chad
really
Minge.
proud of.
You're responsible for another life.
Not this week.
Yeah, this is what happens. It's can't happen again.
Coming round the corner is Chad Minge on the inside.
Oh, leave it to Steve or Beaver.
Steve Beaver's joining NXT, says Matt Reynolds. And Carl Stevens writes, Chad Minge jumped over 12 buses in a Fiat. But I feel like it's an appropriate point to end this shambles.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Phil Chambers on winning this week's quiz. Let us know how you got on in the comment section below, and let us know when you think that wrestling goes too far, or sometimes this podcast either. Either in the comment section or on X. So this just look at Paul Abbott writes, Minge got shafted from behind. Let us know your thoughts on X at WhatCulture WWE. Watch share. You can follow all three of us. You can follow Michael Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett. You can follow Phil Chambers at
Chad my Minge. Wilbourn at
Adam Wilbourn at Adam Wilbourn. The same way of spelling it as you would if you're typing it into cameo.com/ to get a cameo from me. Right, that's enough plugs for this podcast.
WILLL.
No.
OORUN.
They still get it right.
me on the end always, isn't it?
Yeah.
No. Stop getting my name wrong. Anyway, right, thanks to Hamflett, to Phil. Thank you all of you for joining us today live on YouTube. This has been WrestleCulture. We'll see you soon. WrestleCulture is recorded in front of a live studio audience.
Oh, Phil. That's not on. He gets to run off. Shut off.
Yeah, that's it. Bye, everybody. Like the newsreaders.
We're left on camera to manage that one, yeah.
Chat.
Bye,
Have a
guys.
great weekend. See you next week.